Hey guys, it's been a few days since the Ulduar PTR came out, and I just want to go over my notes on which fights I think are the most difficult by making a tier list for you guys. I've put in over 40 hours in the PTR. I've killed almost every fight on hard mode save 2. That is General Vez and Flame Leviathan, because we didn't do Flame Leviathan, and XT, so I just want to go through what I think is going to be the most difficult that you guys should focus on, doing your research and figuring out your comps for the rest of your abilities. So let's just get straight into it. The first one, I'm gonna go with Algalon, and I made these cool cards. Shout out to Hands for the idea for each of the fights. So I'm gonna leave them up here as I go through them. For Algalon the Observer, this is the hardest fight of the tier. I think this is harder than Yogg-Saron. I think this is harder than XT hard mode. This is a very hard fight. To kill Algalon, you're going to need precise cooldown management and the proper comp to do so. It's not going to be something you just walk in and do. This is definitely the tippy top hardest fight by far, and it's going to take a little bit of time for guilds to adjust to that. The next, we're going to go to Assembly of Iron. Assembly of Iron is also a tough fight, but this fight is tough because of the mechanic that one-shots your tank and full heals, or heals the boss by 20%, and the hard mode for this lives up to the name of it being hard. I think in terms of the fights that we have now, it's probably going to be a high A, because it's possible. It took us 25 to 30 attempts on it, but we got it down, and it does take a little bit of learning, and it's a DPS check, so it's a hard fight. It's pretty satisfying to do, but it's not impossible, and I think a lot of guilds won't have as hard of a time on Assembly of Iron as obviously they will Algalon. Flame Leviathan. Now, Flame Leviathan, I think the hard mode isn't bad at all. It just takes time. People are going to have to learn how to adjust their vehicles and react to things. So it'll take, I think, like 15 to 20 wipes, because it will take a little bit of adjustment to make for sure. So I would give Flame Leviathan a solid, a low B. The hard mode is a low B, where it takes learning, but it's not impossible to do, as the Ulduar PTR has given us so far. Freya is ad management. CC, kicks, cooldowns. There's a lot of movement. The three types of ads that Freya summons are very different, and learning how to deal each one accurately, consistently, will take some practice. I do not think Freya is harder than Assembly of Iron. I think Assembly of Iron is harder, but I do think it will take a little bit of time. If you get to the end of Freya, it's kind of a wash. Like, you did it, because you're just moving in between the river as she throws out her nature bombs. So I'm going to give Freya... Sorry, that's Auriaya. Where's Freya? A high B, where it'll take a little bit of learning, but it's not impossible, and it'll come down to how strong your guild is at ad management. Now, General Vez hard mode is one of the ones that I didn't get to complete. Every time we did General Vez, I found myself running out of mana, and we would want to go to Yogg, so we would just push and push, so we could get more Zero Light attempts. I think that the mana management it has a small learning curve to it, and you have to be able to know where to put your resources into the fight. So I would say in terms of the General Vez hard mode, it is a little difficult, and I don't think it's harder than something like Assembly of Iron, but it will take practice as well. And I think it's harder than Freya, so I'm gonna give it a low A. I'm just gonna use F as a way to kind of hold everything. The lowest I'm gonna give something is a D, and I'm gonna go into I made cards for the hard modes, so I'm gonna go through the ones, some of them that don't have hard modes right now, like Kologarn. I think Kologarn's a joke. I didn't remember a lot of the mechanics of Kologarn, and I didn't practice it at all, and we just walked in and we kind of just mowed him down. Yeah, like when you break one of his hands, he loses a significant portion of health, and it's not, it's not very bad. It's not bad at all. You just walk in and kill him. Iron Scale's another fight. We just walked in, plopped him. I think Iron Scale's easier than Kologarn, which says something. Another easy fight. Ignis is a joke. I wouldn't think twice about it. But moving into some other ones, we have Hodir. So Hodir first was really easy because the icicles weren't falling properly onto the fires to reduce the amount of damage you were doing. So the new and improved Hodir is a tight DPS check within 2 minutes. You have to learn the positioning for the buffs, and your rate, it really comes on your range, your warlocks, your mages, your priests, your boomkins, to break those flash freezes and manage the debuffs properly. And the person who gets the big power spark for the extra crit damage hands it out properly. So I would give Hodir a low A, because if you don't meet the DPS timer or you get unlucky with the buffs, you will have a tough time beating the DPS check. But I do think General Vez and Assembly of Iron are harder than Hodir. But Hodir is harder than Freya and Flame Leviathan. Moving on to Yogg. Yogg-Saron, or Yoggers, is the new popular emote demands. It's an S. Zero Light is hard. Zero Light is very hard. There's a lot of individual responsibility, knowing which portal you're going into as a melee to go into the brain, knowing what mechanics will kill you, avoiding them, positioning, pet management, and the last phase, the shadow beacons, pulling those out. It's imperative. If you miss one of them, there's a potential for a wipe. Very, very strong potential for a wipe. This is an S. It is very hard. This will take a lot of attempts. I think we did almost 80 of them before we got the kill. I was in there for 50 of them on my unholy DK. So, it is hard. But I think Algalon is harder because Algalon hits like a truck, and the cooldown management is a lot more precise. Yogg is just learning the mechanics and avoiding them. Auriaya, I think she's harder than Ignis, Kologarn, and Ironscale, because we did wipe once or twice, because the ads just sometimes attack out of nowhere and like one-shot people, so she's whatever. She doesn't have a hard mode. Neither does Ignis, neither does Kologarn, neither does Ironscale. So they're a lot easier than things with hard modes, but we're talking about things in the highest difficulty as possible right now. Thorim. Thorim's really easy. Most of the time we jump into it, we one-shot him. It's just walking through the little gauntlet, getting to the top. The ads are really easy to kill. You jump down. You basically just have to dodge lightning and blizzards, and you win. It is really easy, and I didn't find us having any trouble at all when it came to Thorim. Now, XT is one of the other hard modes I never completed. XT is very hard. XT, when you can DPS check the heart to activate the hard mode, but then XT has 55 million health. 55 mil. So it is very difficult to get through that with all the bombs going out, with all the ads spawning and managing that DPS. I haven't seen anyone or any video of an XT kill, so maybe it needs to be nerfed. I have seen Algalon kills. I've done Yogg-Saron. So XT is very overtuned, but I think they will tune him down, and I think when they tune him down, it'll be somewhere between Freya and Hodir. But in the way XT is right now, XT is like as hard as Yogg and Algalon. It is very hard. 55 million health is a lot, but I'm gonna put him in his real place, and it's gonna be the hard mode right here. Well, harder than Freya, but easier than Hodir in the proper state that I think it's gonna be. Now, the last one is Mimiron. And Mimiron is harder than Freya, but easier than an XT hard mode. And some people might say XT deserves to be even lower, like, oh, it's easier than playing Leviathan, or it's down here, making it nice and even. But I think XT, the regular hard mode, is still a little bit difficult because the ad management comes down to DPS, not just zerging the boss, and actually performing some mechanics. So I think XT does have a little bit of difficulty, but Mimiron, in the state of the game as it is right now, the second phase is the hardest, where it spins in a circle and can one-shot everybody. But the last phase seems to be kind of a GG, because all the ads come back, or all the mini bosses come back at like half health, and you just spread the damage, and it kind of just follows. It's like it's easier with them all together than they are separately, which is very weird. But I've got like 4 or 5 kills on Mimiron, 4 or 5 kills on Freya. Flame Leviathans, any vehicle fight doesn't take that long to learn. Got 1 kill on Hodir hard mode. Didn't kill Vez, didn't kill XT, but they're still hard in their own respective rights. Got 3 kills on Assembly of Iron, but it's a very RNG-based DPS race, so it's very hard in its current state. 1 kill on Yogg-Saron, did not kill Algalon. A few kills on Thorim, a few kills on Auriaya, and these are a joke. And in the state of the game right now, I'm pretty confident in this list. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If you disagree, let me know why you disagree below. I think that Ulduar is very, very fun. I don't regret the 40 plus hours I put into the PTR over 4 or 5 days. And I'm really looking forward into the next round of testing, if there is one, or if it just gets released in the state it is. It'll be very fun and very satisfying. I also want to put a caveat that this would change a lot if you take away all the hard modes. I am referring to these fights at the highest difficulty possible, so all the hard modes. Hard modes are hard. Who knew? But I want to thank you all for watching, and hopefully I can catch you next time. Peace.